hope you are all well and happy and healthy and safe wherever you are today, whatever time of day it is, whatever day of the week or month or year. Today's practice, we're going to be working on heart openers and back bends, and the reason you often find these two things together in the same practice is because they really support each other, and it's almost impossible to move into a posture, back bend, without opening the heart first. And so that's the reason that these two postures work really well together when we bring the focus of them into the same practice. And having said that, in this practice, if you're not used to working on back bends, they are one of those yoga postures that are a little bit risky, because if you throw yourself into them, because especially if you're in a practice with other people and you just want to look good, they can look quite easy, and it's very tempting to just throw yourself into them and be like, I'm here, look, I'm doing it. And then the next day think, I'm never doing yoga again because I've slipped a disc. But I actually hear a lot of people doing that and then not coming back to yoga, and it's really sad because those poses can be incredible for your body, but you have to take them slowly, do them with awareness, and not throw yourself into them. And with back bends, just to give you a little kind of demonstration so you can visualize it, when I'm talking about opening the heart, what I mean is that if I was going to go back into a camel pose posture, I wouldn't just bend at my back, throw my arms back. In order to get into that position, it really starts with the opening of the heart. And as I start to open up my chest and roll my shoulders back, and then my hips also push forward, that's what starts to create the back bend. And then it makes it easier for me to think, okay, this is comfortable, I've got the support of the rest of my body. And now I'm going to see if I can reach back. And I might think, oh, that's really comfortable, that feels really good. And then I might take it further. Or I might think, actually, no, that's a bit much. I'm going to keep it here today. And that's basically all I want you to think about in this practice today, is just having that awareness. And obviously I'll talk you through and I'll give you all of the different cues, and just knowing that it really comes from the heart. And that's what allows us to create this flexibility and strength in the spine, which will come and which will feel amazing when you start to work on it. So yeah, having said that, I think it's also really nice to think about just the idea, the more spiritual, mental and emotional idea of just opening your heart, and how that feels as well when you open your heart to other people and to the world, and speak your truth and be authentic, whatever, however you're feeling, and how that also feels really empowering and beautiful as well. And it combats this kind of constriction and contraction that we have when we come inwards. So really working at that expansion and that opening to create those back bends, but also to support that, we're going to be working on contracting as well, and really just creating a flow between those two movements. So it may seem simple at first, but really work as we start in our first posture. So coming into a cross-legged position that's comfortable for you. Really in these first postures, already starting to think about really warming up the spine, so that when we move into more advanced positions, it will become effortless. Not effortless. It will not be effortless, but it will be easier. And you'll already have that movement pattern set in your body. So it will just, it will become easier. So yeah, come down and join me in a seated position. We're going to stay quite low to the ground today. So if you want to pause the video and grab yourself some tea, it's quite a nice practice to be able to work through really enjoyably. So to start today, with that idea of opening the heart and creating these really nice strengthening back bends, we're going to start with our arms out in front, and on an inhale we're going to start to pull the arms back and the shoulders back and allow the chest to open up and creating a little curve in the lower lumbar part of the spine. You'll start to feel it on the lower part of your back. And then on an exhale, contracting, allowing the stomach and the navel to pull in and the shoulders to round forward and over a little bit and maybe dropping at the head. And then inhaling, chest radiates forward, shoulders come down and back, tailbone lifts a little bit, and we create a nice bend in the lower back. And then as we exhale, we contract and we push it the other way. So inhale, open up, and exhale, curve round, allow the navel to draw inwards. Head can drop. Inhale. And you can start to squeeze the shoulder blades together as you do this. And that'll start to create even more of a back bend. Pushing through the chest, all of the skin on the chest is opening up. And then we exhale, we allow the shoulders to round forward. We curve into the back, and then the head drops over. A few more times in your own time. Let the breath move you. So exhaling as you contract and the spine curves. And inhaling, you open up, the chest radiates forward. You may even lift the chin to the sky slightly. And then as you exhale, opposite contraction. Do it twice more. Inhale, open, exhale, contract. Inhale, open. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, push the chest forward, and exhale, contract. And release the arms down. And keeping that same movement of contraction and expansion, really thinking about that, we're going to move into some cat-cows. So this same movement is going to repeat itself all the way through this practice, which will be nice because we can really focus on it. So again, with the cat-cows, making sure that your knees are stacked under your hips and your hands under your shoulders. We're going to come into cow pose. So we allow the tailbone to lift, the stomach drops down, and the chest opens again. This time we haven't got the shoulders drawing back as much, but you still want to keep them drawing back. The chest radiating forward and the chin can lift. And then as you exhale, the tailbone tucks, which starts to straighten the spine, bring a curve into the spine, and then as it comes all the way up into the neck, we allow the head to drop down. And then we reverse. So tailbone comes up, belly drops down, chest opens up between the arms, head lifts up to the sky, and then we move into our cat position. Cat cow is exactly how it sounds. We're embodying the posture of a cow, and then we're moving into the posture of a cat. Cat cow. Definitely isn't the ancient Sanskrit version of it, but it definitely resonates with the animal part in all of us. So moving through your cat cows, maybe inhaling as the chest radiates forward, and then exhaling, pushing down into the hands, Pushing up into the shoulder blades and the back body, creating the curve in the spine, allowing the head to hang loose. And then reversing it so that the tailbone brings the movement into the belly and the chest radiates forward. We're going to do 3 more in your own time. Please don't skip this movement and don't underestimate how much it's preparing your body for the rest of your practice and how much good it's doing to your spine. Inhale, last time. Maybe hold it here, take a few deep breaths, working deeper into this posture, pushing away from the mat, shoulders drawing back, chest radiating forward, chin lift into the sky, and then exhale, curve through the back body, and allow the head to hang loose while you're pushing away, pushing up into your shoulders, and then come back to a neutral spine. From here, we're going to move into our downward dog. Okay? Oh, actually, we're going to work through some cobras before we do that. So, your choice. You can come up into a plank from here, and then bend at the elbows, squeeze them into the sides and lower all the way down. Or you can do the same thing, but with bent knees, and just lower down onto the chest. And we're going to move through 3 cobras. So the same thing again. This idea of as we're lifting up, inhaling, the elbows squeeze into the sides and the shoulders pull back and the chest radiates forward. And we start to create that bend in the lower back. Now maybe to start, just take it quite small. So on an inhale, elbows tuck into the sides and we start to roll up. Chest radiates forward and we create a slight bend in the lower back. Exhale, release. Twice more. Inhale, tuck the elbows in, squeeze them into the side of the body. Chest lifts up, chin lifts, and then we exhale, allow it to radiate down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. From here, we're going to push up into our downward dog. If you already know where you're moving, feel free to go ahead. Or you can move with me. Push up back into the tabletop position. And then slowly start to tuck your toes under, pushing into the mat. Allow your knees to hover. And then allow the bottom to lift up and start to bring you back. So the weight is moving into the heels. And your heels might be nowhere near the ground just yet. They might be just hovering slightly above, wherever's comfortable for you. I just want you to pedal it out here for a couple of breaths. Bending into one knee and then bending into the other knee, just to try and find some more movement in the backs of the legs to start opening them up. Then coming back to stillness, you're going to ground down into the left foot and allow the right leg to sweep up towards the sky. And just working in this posture for a few breaths. You can start to bend at the knee, or you can keep the leg straight. And just hold it here for one more breath. Exhaling maybe out of the mouth. Inhale, maybe lift the right leg a little bit higher. and then start to shift it forward, bending the knee, coming onto the ball of the left foot, and moving forward, stepping the right leg in between the right and the left hand, however many steps that takes you, and then lowering the left knee back down to the ground. Okay? Oh, sorry. I got my neti pot this morning, so I haven't got a cold, but the salt water takes like a few hours to come all the way through and out of your sinuses, so I haven't actually got a cold. I've just done my salt water cleanse, maybe at the wrong time. So from this position, you're going to untuck your toes and allow the top of your foot to rest on the ground. And we're going to come into our crescent moon. So we want an inhale, push down, squeeze in with the thighs and rise up into your crescent moon. And your fingertips can lift overhead. Here. And just taking a few breaths here. Working into the legs. And we're going to move through 5 hip vinyasas. So we will be opening up in our hip, but at the same time we're going to be focusing on that same movement of opening in the chest and then contracting. So we'll inhale, reach up. And on an exhale, we'll start to shift the weight, straighten the right leg, allow the fingertips to come down, and then push all the way back, flexing the right foot, and allowing the head to hang loose over the right knee. Okay. On an inhale, we're going to come forward, keep the fingertips where they are, allow them to hover maybe slightly above the mat, and really start to push into the hip, and then allow that opening in the chest. Having your fingers wherever feels comfortable. It might feel more comfortable to have them interlinked on the right leg, and allowing the chest to open up. And starting to create again that slight back bend in the lower back, whilst also working into the hips and stretching the left thigh. And on an exhale, we'll move back into that hip stretch. Okay. You want to make sure your hips are straight, that you're not leaning over to one side more, but that you're really coming straight back, working down into the right hip and all the way along the right leg. Inhale, coming forward again, lunging into the right leg, allowing the fingertips to just maybe hover above the ground, and then pushing back, chin lifts up to the sky, and moving in to a slight gentle back bend that feels comfortable, maybe pushing that thigh away. So make the stretch a little bit deeper, and then coming back into that hip vinyasa. Exhale. Inhale, bring it forward, coming into that back bend, chest opener, working the hips at the same time. Exhale, take it back, working down into the right hip and opening up the right leg. Inhale, last time, chest radiates forward. Ground down into the ground with the back leg and the right foot, and allow the chest to radiate forward and to create a slight back bend whilst really stretching the left thigh at the same time. And exhale, moving back into there. Inhale, coming forward. I want you to plant the right hand and the left hand either side of the right leg, tuck the back toes under, and then push up and lift this leg and move back into a plank position. Okay? And from here you can lower the knees, or you can shift forward, Start bending at the elbows and come all the way down to the ground. Ready to move through 3 more cobras. So make sure the hands are tucked in either side of the rib cage. And as we lift up, we want to make sure we squeeze the elbows in nice and tight to the side of the body. So on an inhale, lift up, chest radiates forward, gaze lifts up, slight back bend in the lower back. Exhale, radiate forward, release forward, and allow the nose to be the last thing that touches the ground. Inhale, push up. Exhale, release. Inhale, push up. Exhale, release. Let's do one more all together. Inhale, push up. Hold at the top for a moment, squeezing the elbows in. Allowing the chest to really open up, shoulders draw back. And release down to the ground. From here, you can come into tabletop and then up into downward dog, or you can push up into plank and then shift back into your downward dog like that. And just pedaling it out again here for a few moments. And then finding stillness, grounding down into the right leg and allowing the left leg to lift up to the sky. Holding it here for a few moments, maybe taking the bend in the knee again to start opening up in the hips slightly. If you took this variation on the other side. On an inhale, straightening that leg, maybe lifting it a little bit higher, and exhaling, shifting forward, coming onto the ball of the right toe, knee comes in, and using all of that strength, pushing away from the ground, bring the left leg up, in between the hands, and then we lower the right leg back down. Coming into our crescent lunge on the other side. Maybe have a sip of water or tea. And from here, grounding down into the left foot and the top of the back leg, and rising up, squeezing our thighs in, and coming up into crescent moon on the other side. So just taking a few breaths here to check in before we move into those hip vinyasas on the other side. So as you're doing this, really think about grounding down. There should be a deep stretch along the front of your right thigh. And you should feel some work in this front leg as well. So inhale, look up, take the gaze towards the fingertips, and as you exhale, allow the fingers to come down to the mat and use the fingers to support your shift back. As you straighten the left leg, flex that foot and allow the head to hang loose over. Okay? Working all the way through the back of the left leg into the left hip. Inhale, moving forward, lunging back into the left leg, allowing the fingertips to become light, and then opening the chest, bringing the shoulders back, shoulder blades together, gaze lifts up as we start to open up in the chest and create a slight back bend. At the same time, opening up the right hip. Exhale, moving back. Straightening through the left leg, flexing the toes, allowing the tailbone to point down and the head hangs loose over the left leg. Inhale, shift forward back into the lunge, and as you move forward and the knee moves forward, think about squeezing the thighs to help your fingertips come light, and then rolling back through the shoulders, maybe lifting up a little bit to help create the opening in the chest. Maybe using the hands to push back and create more of a stretch in the legs. Maybe hands come down here and then up on the chest to radiate forward. Exhale, taking it back. Twice more. Inhale, shift forward. Fingertips come light. Shoulders roll back. Open up in the chest. And exhale, coming forward. Hanging over that left leg. Keep the left leg flexed. Keep the hips square. Last time, inhale, come forward. Maybe keeping the fingertips on the mat if that's helpful. And then slowly allowing the shoulder blades to roll back. And the chest radiates forward. And exhaling, coming back into that hip stretch. Stretching all the way down the back of the left leg. Inhaling, coming forward. Planting the left and the right palm either side of the left foot. Tucking the back toes. Pushing into the mat so that we can lift that left foot up. And then back into plank pose. Same again. You can move from tabletop position or from plank. Lowering down gently to the ground. And taking 3 more cobras. Okay, so maybe coming a little higher this time on the cobras. Inhale. Pushing up. Squeezing the shoulder blades together to help create that back bend. And allowing the chest to radiate forward to support your lower back. And exhale, release. Twice more. Inhale. Hold at the top. And exhale, release. Inhale, roll it up. Chest radiates forward. Elbows squeeze in at the sides. And exhale, release. Inhale. We push up. And we're going to come back into a child's pose. Just taking a moment here. Maybe wiggling side to side a little bit. And then inhale, shift yourself forward. Coming into tabletop and then tucking the toes and moving back into downward dog position. From here, we're going to ground down again in the left leg and allow the right leg to shift up towards the sky. At a level that's really comfortable for your flexibility. Okay. Inhale, lift it a little bit higher. Exhale, bring it forward, coming into that plank. And this time we're going to lower it down and come into pigeon pose. Okay, so coming into this position so that the right leg is bent. And then adjusting, you might need to bring the toes further away, or you might want them closer in towards the body. But you want to be comfortable and make sure that the hips are square. So you don't want to be leaning onto your right butt cheek. You want to make sure that the hips are sitting straight over in the right position. Okay. So the hips are in line with the ground where they're supposed to be. And it should be comfortable. You shouldn't be sort of shaking. But you do also want to make sure you're feeling a stretch in the right hip, okay? And you might feel a little bit of a stretch around the knee area. and in the lower leg as well, but the focus wants to be here. Okay, and we're going to move into a vinyasa this time. So left leg, the top of the foot is flat on the ground, and we're going to move through that same vinyasa. So coming down, lowering over that leg, and you might not be able to get very far, but just imagining lowering ourselves, and then on the inhale, rising up, fingertips can shift back a little bit, and opening up in the chest and starting to create that deep curve in the lower spine. And I don't want you to push it any further than is comfortable. I want you to, as soon as you start to feel it, find your edge, find something that feels good, like you're improving your flexibility, and then release it down. And inhale, stop, shoulders roll back, chest radiates forward, gaze lifts slightly towards the sky, creating that bend in the lower back. Still the whole time stretching this right hip, and then lower down, curving over. Inhale, chest radiates forward, creating the bend in the lower spine. And exhale, radiate forward. Inhale. Chest radiates forward, shoulders roll back, start to create that bend in the lower spine. And exhale, release. Curving over. Twice more. Inhale. Rise up. Chest radiates forward, shoulders squeeze back, come down the back of the body, open in the chest, the hips and the stomach can also start to open as well, and we start to create the back bend in the lower back. Come into a position that's comfortable for you, and exhale, release. Last time, inhale, rising up, pushing away from the ground. Chest opens, shoulders squeeze down and back. Gaze lifts to the sky. We feel that stretch in the lower back, and we release it down. From here, coming back up. Maybe releasing for a moment, shifting onto the right hip, just to take some of the pressure off of it, and then moving back so that the hips are square, taking an inhale and starting to shift the right and the left fingers over towards the left, just so that we're deepening the stretch a little bit in the right hip, and start to take the gaze over the left shoulder, and if you can, peek back at the back leg. Inhale, exhale, start to shift over to the right side. Inhale, exhale, see if you can peek over the right shoulder towards the back leg this time. So over the right shoulder, inhale, and bring it back. Front. Exhale, palms are going to plant. Actually, let's roll onto the right hip for a moment, just to release some of the tension, and then we'll come back, plant the palms, tuck the toe under, and step back into that downward dog, nice and carefully. So release that right leg, release that right hip. And in your downward dog, it might feel nice to take some slow hip circles with the right leg, making sure whichever way you start with, you go back the other way, rounding down into the palms and into the left foot, so that you're stretching in the back of the left leg whilst really opening up in the right hip, releasing a little bit of the compression. And then lowering the right leg down. Grounding into it as you lower and lifting up the left leg. Whew. Taking a moment here to stretch, maybe bend the knee, to bring the stretch more into the hip. Inhale and exhale, shift forward, coming onto the ball of the right foot. And this time coming into pigeon on the other side. And find a comfortable position. So for me, I like to wiggle my foot forward a little bit, leaning onto the left hip to help me do that, and then squaring off once I'm comfortable and coming into this position. So we're going to work through that same vinyasa. And vinyasa just means, movement. Moving between postures rather than just holding a posture and breathing into it. Okay? So we're going to take an inhale. On an exhale, start to bend the elbows and lower down, curve over. Just a small preparation so that when we inhale, we can rise up, shift our fingertips, and radiate the chest forward, squeeze the shoulders back and down, and start to create this curve in the back body. And exhale, lowering down, coming over. Inhale, rise up, ground down in the back leg, really stretching out the left hip at the same time as we create this back bend. So pushing the chest forward, allowing the shoulders to roll back and down as much as possible, as much as you need, making adjustments so that this feels comfortable, and allowing the opening in the heart and the chest to create more of a back bend. Okay, I'm quite flexible in my back body, so it may not look exactly like this for you. This is my yoga practice today, so I'm using it to really try and open up. But it might be for you that you're just sort of here, radiating the chest forward with just a slight bend in the lower back. Exhaling, contracting, releasing over. Inhaling, rolling back up. Chest and heart radiate forward. Shoulders roll down and back. And the gaze lifts towards the sky. Exhale, coming forward. Inhale, pushing out. Chest radiates forward. Gaze lifts up. Exhale. Twice more. Inhale. Push down, ground into the hip and the back leg. Shoulders roll back. Chest opens up. Gaze lifts. Lower back. We start to create a bend in that lower spine. And exhale. Release over. Inhale. Lift up. Heart radiates forward. Maybe hold it here for a breath. Really breathing into the left hip and the lower back. And then exhaling, radiate down. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, start to shift the fingers over to the right side this time. Staying square in the hip. And slowly shifting the gaze to come back over the right shoulder towards the back leg. Inhaling, exhaling out the mouth if that feels good. And then inhaling and exhaling. Fingertips shift over to the other side, just as far as feels comfortable. And we can start to try and shift the gaze over the left shoulder towards the back leg this time. And exhale, come back. Maybe shift for a moment onto that left hip, just to allow a small release. and then rolling back forward, planting the palms, tucking that back leg, and then gently allowing the left leg to come back to meet the right leg in a downward dog. Feels nice. From here, either lowering the knees down or shifting all the way forward, rolling through the spine, bending at the knees and coming all the way down. From here, we're going to work through locus pose. So it's a similar expression to cobra, but this time on an inhale, we're going to lift the arms off so they're just hovering above the ground. We're going to work at lifting our chest and creating that back bend without the support of our arms pushing us away. So we're using the core to create the back bend. And we're going to work through 5 of these, and on the last 2, we'll lift the legs off of the ground as well. Okay? So starting with the forehead resting on the ground. Inhale, let the tip of the nose lift up. Allow the chest to start to lift up and the hands come off. And we use our core to hold us here. Pushing away to start creating that back bend in the lower back. Gaze can look forward. One more inhale and exhale, release. Inhale to relax. Exhale, breathe it out. Inhale, nose lifts up, chest starts to peel off of the ground, hands come off to hover, and using the core, we hold ourselves here and start to create a slight bend in the back body. Come into whatever distance feels comfortable so that you can feel that lumbar region of the spine start to engage. Squeezing the shoulder blades together for one more breath. Exhale, release. Inhale, relax. Exhale, relax. Inhale again. Peel the nose off of the ground. Start to lift the chest off. Allow the hands to hover and hold it here. Using the core, making sure the spine is nice and long. And then we just got this bend in the lower back. So the top of the spine, we want to be nice and straight. And then opening the chest, squeezing the shoulders in to create the bend in the lower spine. Inhale, exhale, release. So same thing again, twice more, but this time we're going to lift the legs and the knees. So you've just got the top of the thighs and the pelvis on the floor, supporting as you lift off. Okay? So inhale, start to peel the nose, the feet, the hands, the chest, and come to hover. Breathe in here. Gaze down to the ground. Squeeze in the glutes. And exhale, slowly release. Inhale, relax. Exhale, relax. Last time. Inhale, nose peels, shoulders start to move back and down. Chest lifts up, toes lift up, hands lift and start to hover. And we hold it here. Squeezing in the glutes if you need to, using the core strength. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Tuck the back toes, push up and move back into child's pose. Allow to release in the lower back. If this isn't enough of a release in the lower back, bring the knees into touch, arms come back and wrap themselves around the feet, around the heels. And then on an inhale, we're going to press the forehead into the ground, or sorry, not the forehead, the crown of the head into the ground, and then start to lift the bum away from the heels, and still grounding down so our feet don't come off of the ground, grounding the crown and the feet into the earth and pushing up to create a deeper stretch in the lower back. And exhale, release. Inhale, fingertips come forward. And we move slowly into downward dog. Just stretching it out here for a moment. Pushing back into the heels, allowing the ears to come away from the shoulders, pushing down into the palms, trying to work the heels closer to the ground. And then starting to shift, maybe lowering the knees if you need to, all the way forward, bending at the elbows, and lowering gently back down to the ground. So moving now into a bow pose, not boat, but bow. We're going to inhale and start to bend the left leg and then the right leg. And then we're going to start to reach back with the left arm and see if we can grab the top of the left foot. And then maybe reaching back with the right arm and grabbing the top of that foot as well. And this might be our bow pose for today. So this might be as much as as much as feels good for us today. Okay? Or if you want to start to increase this stretch and this posture a little bit, you can start to roll your shoulders back, and that will start to lift your head and your chest off of the ground. Okay? Starting to create that stretch as well, opening the chest and in the lower back. For those of us that want to try the full bow pose position, we're going to take an inhale all together. So holding onto the feet, maybe just around the ankles or just below the ankles on the tops of the feet. And as you exhale, the shoulders are going to roll back, the head starts to lift, the chest starts to lift. And as our arms start to move back, we lift the legs off of the ground and the chest off of the ground. Coming into our bow pose. So we want to make sure we've really got the opposing forces. If our chest is opening, our shoulders are pulling back, and that's what's pulling the legs back and creating this back bend. Whole body's working, opening up. The glutes are on fire. We inhale and we exhale, release it down very slowly. We can let go of the legs for a moment if that feels good. Rest the cheek on the ground. And we're going to try that twice more. So if you want to just hold the position here, just having a stretch here and playing with slowly lifting the chest off of the ground, then that's all good. Play with that for today. And if not, we're going to go into our second time through of bow pose. So taking a deep inhale, exhale, shoulders roll back, head lifts, chest lifts, and then our arms start to pull the legs up off of the ground. Keep the gaze forward, not up, but just forward, straight out in front of you. Allow the shoulders to be pulling back, and that's what's opening up your chest and creating this back bend. One more deep breath. Really open up in the chest and the front body. Squeeze the glutes if you need to. And exhale, release. Maybe drop the legs down. Allow the toes to come into touch. And just wiggle the hips a little bit from side to side. Oh, feels good. And then bending at the knees. Grabbing onto the tops of the feet or the ankles. And coming into one more round of bow pose. So inhale. Start to allow the shoulders to roll back. The head lifts, the chest lifts. And then slowly the arms start to pull back. Creating that lift through the thighs so that the thighs lift up. The chest opens up. The shoulders are really squeezing in together. The arms are reaching back. Pulling those legs away from the ground. And the whole body's working to create this back bend. Gaze out in front and forward. Using the core, squeezing the glutes. One more breath. Maybe moving a little bit higher. And then exhale, release. Allow the legs to straighten and the arms to come round. Palms either side of the hip. And we're going to push back up into child's pose. And just allow the head to rest here for a moment. Whew, it's hard work. But it feels good. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. Now we're going to move into our last back bend of this pose. And this is called camel pose. This is the one I showed you at the beginning. So even though our body should be nice and warm now and our back should be warm, this is still one of those positions where it's really, really important not to push it too far. So I'm going to talk you through it. And once I've talked you through it, we're going to try it 3 times through. Okay? So we're just playing with it. There's no counts or specific time you need to hold it for. We're just practicing moving in and out of this posture. Okay? So when you're ready, inhale and come up onto the knees. And with this posture, we have a couple of different bus stops. So that's the thing. So we'll have the first bus stop, which will be camel pose, but our hands are going to stay supporting our lower back, the part of the back that's going to curve. Our second bus stop, we're going to be up on our toes like this, so our heels are a little closer, and we'll be leaning back onto our heels. And the final bus stop, the top of our foot will be flat. Okay, so there's 3 different poses, and I really want to make sure today you don't push yourself beyond what you're capable of. So really be aware of what your body's telling you. If your back is saying, oh my god, ow, this feels possible but not like it's actually doing me any good, then just stop. Okay. So you're going to inhale and start to shift the arms around, okay? So the palm of the hand is on the small of the back, on the lower back, pushing in to support it. So we're breathing in, and as you exhale, I want you to start to actually shift and push your hips forward. Okay? And that's what's going to start to get this pivoting action. And it's going to start to create a back bend in the back. As you do this, I also want you to start to feel a really big opening in your chest. So your chest is opening, your shoulders are rolling back, maybe the gaze lifts. And this will be your camel pose for today. Okay? So that might be what it looks like for today. Pushing your hips forward, really using the strength of your thighs to start creating that back bend, supporting your back with your lower arms, and very slowly opening up in the chest and allowing that back bend. If you feel that you can go a little bit further, you're going to inhale, moving through that same posture with your hands on your lower back, And then you're going to slowly start to release one hand down to the ankle. And as you do this, open up even more into the chest. So the chest is really pushing, the hips are moving forward, and then you might release the other arm down. And then your shoulders want to be rolling back and everything else is opening and pushing forward. So your hips are thrusting forward. Your chest is opening up, your shoulders shouldn't be near your ears. They should be rolling back, down. And your gaze can just be up. I wouldn't drop the neck unless that feels comfortable. Hold your neck so that your gaze is out. And if you really think you can go one step further, if this isn't causing any fussing in your lower back, you might slowly start to lower that right foot down and then the left foot down, coming into the full pose. And from here, it's probably more comfortable to release your head. Okay, but make sure you're continuously pushing your hips forward. And your shoulders are stretching back, your shoulder blades squeezing together, chest opening. And allow your breath here to really create even more opening in the chest. And even deeper back bend. To come out of this, if you want to rest, slowly bring one arm back to the lower back, then the other arm, and slowly allow the hips to move back and roll all the way up and forward. Coming back so that your bum rests on your hips. Okay. So we're going to try that twice more. And if you just want to hold it there and stay there for a little bit longer, that's fine. Or maybe you just want to keep moving in and out. So inhaling, rising back up. Exhaling, starting to shift the arms around to the lower back. And then starting to bend. Allow the hips to move forward, the chest to open. Maybe drop one arm down and then the other arm. And then before you allow your head to release, really open up in the chest. Roll the shoulders back and make sure everything is active. Okay, so you're really pushing the hips forward, the belly is open, the chest is open, the shoulders are open and back. And as you breathe, you can really feel the air moving and creating an even deeper stretch in the whole body. And then exhale, maybe release, bring one arm up. In the head, other arm, and then slowly coming up. Hips move back. And we rest. I'm going to move through that one more time, and then we're going to just do a really quick cool down. It's still nice and cold. Okay, so moving into that posture one more time. Deep inhale. Exhale, start to roll the shoulders back and allow the arms to come back to support the lower back in whatever way feels comfortable for you. And on the next inhale, start to shift the hips forward, open up through the chest. Allow the head to lift up and come into that back bend. Maybe on the tiptoes, releasing one hand to the ankle. Pushing even further forward with the hips now, opening the chest even more. And then a release in the other hand down, allowing the head to shift backwards if that's comfortable. Or keeping the head forward, gaze out in front if that's more comfortable. And then maybe lowering the feet down and coming into the full posture. Releasing the head, taking the pressure off the back by really allowing the hips to open, the chest to open, the shoulders to come back together. And let your inhales and exhales open up your body even more. And one more inhale. And on an exhale, start to lift the head up. Hips start to move back. Hand comes in to support the lower back. And then we rise up. We shift the hips back to the toes. From here, if you shift onto the hips, allow the feet to come out in front. Maybe just bang your legs on the ground a little bit, just to release a little bit of the energy, and maybe shake your arms out. And now we're going to work into a forward fold, but not with the legs straight, because we want to release the lower back, because we've done a lot of work in the lower back. So we're going to take an inhale, and we're going to bring the heels a little bit closer to us so we've got a nice bend in the knee. And on an exhale, we're going to release forward, bringing the chest and the belly to the thighs as our focus. And maybe the hands come to link around the big toe, and maybe they don't. Maybe they just hug around the legs, and we allow the head to release over, really releasing in the lower back. You should be able to feel this in your lower back. Maybe shifting your legs a little bit to get a deeper stretch in the lower back. Maybe you need to bring them up a little bit higher to get the stretch in the lower back. Just adjusting and then finding the stretch, which is really, really important. Just to allow release before you come back into the rest of your day and the rest of your movement. Just allowing the lower back to release. And hang it over here. And taking some really deep inhales and exhales here. Inhale to come up. And exhale, straighten the legs. You may want to shift forward a little bit. And then keeping a bend in the knees. I'm going to link the fingertips out in front and slowly roll back down to the ground, one vertebrae at a time. And coming now into plow pose. So allowing the hands to come down either side of you, palms facing down to the earth. And we're going to lift the feet one at a time off the ground, or both together. And then slowly start to straighten the legs. And using the hands to help ground us down, we're going to start to shift the legs back over the top of us so that the feet come to the ground. Okay, and they might not reach the ground, they might just hover here slightly. I'm going to move forward a little bit so I don't disappear off of the camera. Alright. And you really don't want to be creating any fussiness in the neck here. So if this doesn't feel good in the neck, okay, then you've got to come out of this position and maybe just work in that forward fold for a little bit longer. And maybe allow the knees to release, coming down either side of the head. That might feel good. Or it might feel good to just work here. Maybe you bring the hands up to support the lower back. And just work in here for a few moments. If you want to take it up into a shoulder stand, you can take up into a shoulder stand from here. Or you can remain in your plough pose for the moment. Maybe creating little movements, little shifts back and forward. And then on your next inhale, rolling down really slowly, use your core. One vertebrae at a time, touches down onto the mat. Final bit should be your sacrum and then your bum. And then lower the legs down slowly, straight out in front. And we're going to move into our shavasana. So if there's any more stretches that feel comfortable for you, maybe you want to pause the video and take a few more stretches before you move into a relaxation. Maybe you just want to take a quick relaxation and then you're going to carry on with the rest of your day. Whatever it is. And it might be that shavasana isn't comfortable after all that back work and that actually you want to finish off in this position. In fact, it might be good for all of us to finish in this position where we can tuck the tailbone and allow the lower back to come flush with the mat and take the pressure off the back body. And the arms can come out. Maybe the knees come out as well. And we end in a cobbler's pose, just opening up into our hips. We have worked our hips today, so this might be a nice stretch to finish in. And closing down your eyes and taking a couple of minutes here if you have the time to allow the nutrients of that practice to really seep into your body. What does it feel like to open your heart? Oh, I know that opening my heart to me feels liberating. To me, opening my heart is speaking my truth, telling people how I feel, communicating with people. Honest, being open, letting my truth shine, not being scared of judgment or criticism, or being afraid. Not hiding, not doing it on my own. Believe me, there will always be people who don't want to hear what you have to say, but there will always be people who you help, who you heal, who you touch, who you inspire, and isn't it worth the risk? Isn't it worth the risk? Especially if your intentions are good. The goodness of your heart can only really bring more good to other people. And maybe you want to straighten out your legs now. Straighten mine out. And maybe you want to carry on and lay here for a few more minutes. Taking some deep inhales and exhales. And maybe bring the arms up, palms together, bring them into the third eye. And may we all always see the truth. Bringing the palms down to the lips. May we all speak our truth. And bringing the hands to the palm, to the heart. And may we all open our hearts and feel the truth. And connect with the truth in our hearts. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me.